Across the United States, beneath the surface of our often turbulent culture, a quiet yet genuinely noticeable shift may be unfolding. For decades, traditional church attendance has seen a steady decline, and trust in institutions, religious and otherwise, has significantly weakened. Yet, in unexpected places and surprising ways, conversations about faith, meaning, purpose, and spirituality are resurfacing with renewed urgency. This raises a profound question, one without a clear answer yet. Is America truly experiencing the early signs of a genuine spiritual awakening? Or are we simply witnessing a collective search for meaning during particularly uncertain and anxious times? Let's explore this hopeful possibility together. America has a rich history of spiritual awakenings, moments when the very fabric of society was rewoven by a renewed sense of divine purpose. Think of the First Great Awakening in the 1730s-40s, or the Second Great Awakening in the early 1800s, or even the Jesus movement of the late 1960s and early 70s. These were pivotal eras where major social change, widespread uncertainty, and a powerful resurgence of faith intersected, profoundly reshaping American culture and individual lives. Today, our nation grapples with intense cultural divisions, the dizzying pace of technological acceleration, and ongoing moral debates about our fundamental values and direction. In such moments throughout history, people invariably begin asking deeper questions about existence, purpose, and what truly matters beyond the fleeting concerns of daily life. Could this be one of those pivotal moments again, an invitation to a deeper spiritual journey? Or is something fundamentally different happening this time, calling us to new ways of understanding faith? Historically, spiritual awakenings in America were characterized by several distinctive features. They involved a genuinely renewed interest in faith and religious practice across broad populations, often sparking grassroots movements that emerged from everyday people rather than solely from institutional leadership. There were widespread reports of personal transformation, changed lives, and a serious public reflection on societal direction and values. Jeremiah 29:13 beautifully captures this intensity of seeking. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. This verse speaks to a deep, yearning pursuit that defines such moments. But here lies a crucial question for us today. Does the spiritual curiosity and searching we observe in America truly resemble these past awakenings in meaningful ways? Or does it look fundamentally different, shaped by new forces, taking new forms, and perhaps producing different outcomes? Calling something an awakening suggests it fits historical patterns, yet perhaps this moment is unique, a fresh unfolding of divine grace that challenges our preconceived notions. It's a hopeful thought that God might be moving in ways we haven't seen before. Many observers point to specific, concrete signs they interpret as evidence of a burgeoning awakening. After decades of decline, Bible sales have reportedly been rising in recent years, suggesting a renewed hunger for ancient wisdom. Prayer gatherings on college campuses, places often perceived as secular, are now drawing packed crowds of young people, eager to connect with something beyond themselves. Online sermons and faith discussions reach millions through YouTube, podcasts, and social media, platforms that didn't even exist during previous awakenings, democratizing access to spiritual insights. High-profile conversions and testimonies from celebrities also garner massive attention, sparking conversations about faith in unexpected circles. These are real, observable phenomena that suggest something profound is shifting, offering a hopeful glimpse into a future where faith is openly discussed and embraced. Yet, at the very same time, increasing numbers of Americans describe themselves as spiritual but not religious. They are interested in spirituality, meaning, and transcendence, but without the traditional institutional affiliation. This forces us to ask, is what we're seeing primarily a revival of traditional Christianity, with people returning to churches and Orthodox faith? Or is it a broader spiritual reawakening that is happening outside and beyond institutional religion, with people seeking transcendence and meaning without necessarily embracing Christianity specifically? Perhaps it's both, a multifaceted movement of the Spirit. Younger Americans, millennials, and especially Gen Z, often explicitly express skepticism or even rejection of organized religion and traditional church structures. They are the knowns in religious surveys, those with no religious affiliation. Yet, these same generations openly and constantly discuss profound questions of purpose and calling, issues of justice and what society owes its most vulnerable members, morality, ethical living, and transcendence beyond mere material existence. They are deeply interested in meaning, just not necessarily finding it where previous generations did. Joel 2:28 offers a hopeful perspective. I will pour out my spirit on all people, which some interpret as God working in expansive ways even outside traditional religious boundaries, reaching hearts wherever they are open. So, here's the fundamental question for faith leaders and seekers alike. Is this truly a rejection of faith itself and spiritual reality? Or is it primarily a rejection of how faith has been presented, packaged, and practiced by institutions that young people sometimes perceive as hypocritical, judgmental, or irrelevant? These are very different things with very different implications for what's happening spiritually in America. It suggests a yearning for authenticity and a deeper, more relevant expression of faith. Throughout American history, and indeed throughout human history globally, spiritual awakenings have often followed periods of profound crisis and disruption. Economic uncertainty and financial insecurity can make people question materialism and seek deeper values. Social unrest and conflict force deeper questions about justice, human nature, and our collective responsibility. Cultural anxiety about rapid change and the loss of familiar anchors can lead to a search for stability in the divine. Wars, pandemics, moral scandals, all have historically preceded moments of spiritual renewal. Matthew 11:28 quotes Jesus saying, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And crisis certainly creates weariness, opening hearts to this invitation. So, a crucial question emerges. Does genuine spiritual awakening typically arise from comfort, prosperity, and stability? Or does it emerge from struggle, suffering, and uncertainty, from moments when the comfortable answers stop working and people are driven to seek something more profound? America right now is experiencing multiple overlapping crises, from social fragmentation to global anxieties. If history is any guide, these are exactly the conditions that could produce a spiritual awakening, a hopeful turning towards something greater than ourselves. But does that mean one is actually happening, or just that the conditions are ripe for it? The potential is certainly there. Some churches and ministries are reporting genuinely renewed engagement. People who had been away are returning, younger attendees are showing up, and there's deeper commitment from members. This offers a beacon of hope for traditional institutions. However, many other churches continue to struggle to connect with modern American culture, seeing ongoing decline despite their best efforts. Meanwhile, faith conversations are absolutely thriving in unexpected places. On podcasts with millions of downloads, in social media discussions that go viral, and in informal gatherings in homes and coffee shops rather than solely in church buildings. Faith content creators on platforms like YouTube and TikTok are reaching audiences larger than most megachurches, demonstrating a vibrant, decentralized spiritual energy. This raises a really important question about what awakening even means in our contemporary context. Is spiritual awakening necessarily tied to traditional buildings and established denominations? A revival happening exclusively within existing structures? Or can authentic awakening happen primarily through personal experience, individual seeking, and informal dialogue outside institutional religion? Because if awakening requires institutional renewal alone, we might miss the broader movement. But if it can happen through these diverse new channels, then perhaps we are indeed witnessing a powerful, hopeful spiritual resurgence, one that is dynamic and adaptive. Perhaps the fundamental question isn't whether America is becoming more religious in traditional terms, attending church more, identifying as Christian more. Perhaps the real question is whether spirituality itself is being redefined for a new generation and a new cultural moment, a hopeful evolution of faith. Luke 17:21 quotes Jesus saying, "The kingdom of God is within you," emphasizing internal spiritual reality over external religious structures. Maybe that's precisely what's happening, a profound shift from external institutional religion to a more internal, individual, and communal spirituality that is deeply personal yet broadly connected. So, is America genuinely returning to faith, recovering something lost, renewing commitment to traditional belief? Or is the country actively reshaping faith for a new era, creating forms of spirituality that look dramatically different from what came before but serve similar, timeless human needs for meaning, connection, and transcendence? And here's the harder yet hopeful question. If what's emerging doesn't look exactly like historical awakenings, if it's fundamentally different, should we still call it an awakening? Or is it something else entirely, a new chapter in humanity's spiritual journey, guided by an ever-present divine hand? Let me leave you with some important questions that don't have clear answers yet, but invite hopeful reflection. Are we genuinely witnessing the early signs of a spiritual awakening right now in America, a profound movement of the spirit? Or are we simply observing a cultural moment of deep reflection and questioning that might or might not lead anywhere spiritually significant? And if an actual spiritual awakening is happening in the United States, what would it even look like in our modern context of social media, declining institutional trust and religious pluralism? Would we recognize it as an awakening, or would it be so different from historical patterns that we'd miss its profound significance entirely? The possibilities are endless, and the journey of discovery is ours to embrace. America has always wrestled with faith, doubt, and the search for meaning. That tension is woven into the national character and history. Whether this particular moment becomes remembered as a significant spiritual awakening, or just another chapter in America's ongoing spiritual searching, remains completely to be seen. We're too close to know yet, but the questions are worth asking, and the patterns are worth watching carefully, with open hearts and minds. This is the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are revealed. We invite you to be part of this vital discussion. Share your thoughts, your hopes, and your observations in the comments below. What signs of spiritual searching or awakening do you see around you? How can faith leaders, young adults, and seekers alike contribute to a more hopeful and meaningful future? Subscribe to our channel for more insights. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message of hope, and join us as we collectively search for truth and meaning in these extraordinary times. Let's explore these profound questions together, fostering understanding and inspiring action.